You're stinky, Raven.
Stop!
Oh my! I can't.
It's great.
Oh my,
Emoted.
this is the worst Paladins has ever been.
This is the best day of my life. Hey, what's going on everybody? Raven here, and today we're going to be talking about the man, the myth, the legend himself, Azan. And yes, as you've noticed, this is becoming a series. I've played Azan for an entire day and more, faced off against players of both high elo and low, all courtesy of our Discord server, which by the way you can find in a link in the description below. Shameless plug. I know, but I have actually tested pretty much every single playstyle you can with him, and I think I'm ready to finally give him a proper review. Let's start off with the fact that most people agree he's a very strong tank, and I'd love to hear your opinions on this oversized muscle mountain in the comments below. But what makes him strong? Could it be the shiny hammer, which I love by the way, 10 out of 10 weapon, finest in the line of paladinium steel? The blood washes right off. Or could it be his JoJo-esque physique? Making him incredibly menacing as any squishy character or even tank. Or just maybe it's actually the fact that he's an immortal crusader out for blood. Let's go.
Please kill him. Please.
I have 100 health. Kill him.
Why is he so mobile and so tanky?
It's too good. Get on my level, dude. What you just witnessed isn't even a fraction of what Azan is capable of, and this time I'm going to be generous and give you the best loadout I've made for him straight off the bat. I've named it Alucard. And although I won't get too in-depth with his builds, that's for another video, I will explain this one. You see, Azan has a similar energy bar compared to Furia. While you smack people with your hammer, you store up more energy. This energy provides a buff for your existing skills and even changes them slightly when full, but it also depletes that energy when you use any of your skills. The loadout I just showed you, if you land most of your shots, will essentially restore 1000 HP each time you use a skill. And when paired with his best talent, Persistence, you will also get 40% lifesteal on your basic shots. And on top of that, you receive 25% damage reduction as well. You can already start to see this is Yag 2.0. Honestly, it might even be worse. So how does he compare to other tanks? Well, DPS wise, he's on par with pretty much every other tank. Honestly, I think his damage is perfect and shouldn't be changed whatsoever. He does have quite a high skill ceiling if you want to max your damage out, and a few good combos you could actually do, like setting up a wall, hitting the enemy with a primary fire, into right click, into charge, and primary fire again. When done perfectly, this can even take out a squishy champion. Yet the loadout I just showed you is more about being hyper-aggressive and managing the cooldowns of your skills. As Azan, you can pretty much run into 5 enemies and not only survive, but at least take one of them out. I mean, you could just walk past the enemy tanks and kill their support. I literally ignored you and I killed your Damba. Azan just doesn't care. Absolute Chad. I'd say he's a top tier tank, up there with the Agrath, Atlas, and pretty much everybody else that gets insta-banned in ranked. Well, that is if they don't decide to change him. Skill-wise, he actually has a pretty high skill ceiling, and I found that the more I played him, the more I could actually do. From combos, to cooldown management, to just being able to handle a champion that has an incredibly aggressive playstyle. Azan just pushes past the enemy and harasses whoever he deems necessary, becoming even more powerful with every foe he vanquishes, just like Dracula. I told you the name of the loadout made sense.
Don't play with your team, Raven!
No. Well, that and the fact that he gets all his HP back in 1 second. So what could possibly counter him? Well, it seems he always falls off and needs to become more passive at late game. That is primarily because everybody has Cauterize 3. You could also use champions like Willow, Tyra Burn Monster, Pipholds, and other execute ultimates, although I've gotten pretty good at dodging those.
I am, but I am.
Yeah, binary this does
Hey,
not.
Drogos! Nice try, buddy! Nice try! Good luck. By no means am I saying that he becomes a weak champion late game, but he definitely comes back in line with the rest of the normal tanks. However, early game, yeah, forget it. If you don't have hard counters, Azazah... Wait, Azazah? Alright, I'm calling him Azazah from now on. Azazah will simply beat you into the pavement. So let's look at his first skill, and that would be his escape/movement ability, Conviction, or as it's more commonly referred to, the Train.
Raventric moment, I'm saving that.
It is an amazing escape/offensive ability that could honestly be used to both engage a fight, chase someone down, or simply get out of a fight while healing at the same time. It feels amazing to use and pretty terrifying to see coming at you. This skill can be comboed by pinning someone into your wall to stun them for an even longer duration, or you can pin them into a normal wall for a slightly smaller stun. But not all abilities can be good, can they? And that brings us to his second skill, Sanctuary. When used, you put up a wall that consists of several parts. It curves slightly, just enough to be an incredible pain both for you and your allies during fights. Oh, and did I mention you can't destroy it by yourself? So think Inara wall, but much worse. Most of the matches I had, a teammate would get stuck and die due to this wall. And since I can't break it, they just have to suffer and face their fate.
Furia can die.
See, the walls trapped me in the Fury of Fire.
This better be a bug, because if they leave it as it is, you will start to see a pretty large increase in very unhappy teammates that will certainly share their opinion of you in a strongly worded letter. Aside from that, it can serve as protection, a trap, or extra DR with the loadout I showed before. For his last skill, we have Reckoning. You slam your hammer down and knock people up into the air. Pretty simple. It's Reinhardt ult without the stun, a great skill for crowd control and a part of many good combos. And now for my favorite part of his kit, his ultimate. It's called Deliverance, and when used you fly straight up into the air for a maximum of 6 seconds. While in the air you have 50% damage reduction. Then you just pick where you want to smash your hammer into the ground, dealing 725 damage, along with a stun at max and knockback to everybody in its range. Shortly after the hammer hits, you teleport down to it and have to bear this anticlimactic animation, while being damage immune. Honestly, it's an amazing ultimate, looks cool, feels great, and overall a great addition to his kit. It can be used to engage fights, chase someone down if they are low, get out of fights, you name it, but the animation after you land is just unnecessary and ruins any possibility for another cool combo. It feels clunky to just stand there while waiting for the enemy you just stunned to get over the stun and shoot you. I have no idea why they made it this way, but that certainly needs to be changed if you want to have Azan be a more polished character. Alright, so the skills are impressive for the most part, but what about the talents? And here's where we see a problem. Let's start off with the first one, Persistence. A very fitting name for a playstyle of just ramming into the entire enemy team and persistently chasing them into spawn. See what I did there? Please laugh. It's the main and only talent that I would currently suggest for Azan. It gives you 40% lifesteal and 5% damage reduction on top. I mean, that's just crazy. On top of all his damage reduction in the form of loadouts, and not to mention his instant health on skills, this is ridiculous. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I think he needs a nerf, specifically in this talent. Just completely remove the damage reduction from it. You can leave the 40% lifesteal, that will be more than enough to justify it, or change the damage reduction to something more interesting, like, I don't know, 5% extra movement speed? It still fits the playstyle and even fits with the name, while not completely being broken and just maxing out his damage reduction at all times. The second nerf I think he needs is again to his damage reduction cards. Add eternum and Depth of Despair. And you're probably gonna ask me, but Raven, I thought you said healing was the problem. Well, my dear viewer, then you weren't actually listening to everything I said. I 100% believe that healing is not the problem. It tanks pretty hard at late game, and I'm fine with having a champion be really good at early game, while also fitting into the perfect dive comp. But having max damage reduction with the possibility of pretty much 100% uptime, while being able to heal, is pretty ridiculous. So yeah, all he really needs are those damage reduction nerfs. The burst heal playstyle is a very unique one, and no other tank can pull it off like Azan can. It's also a very fun one, and to nerf that instead of the damage reduction would be to literally make him Yag 2.0. We don't need that, trust me. I don't think anyone wants that. Chances are you will be buying Cauterize anyways with the 2 support meta, so you can pretty easily counter the heals. But the damage reduction? You can't do anything about it. Just shoot him, I guess. If they go for nerfing both heals and damage reduction, he will definitely drop off compared to the current meta tanks, such as Atlas, Yagurath, Fernando, you get the point. But what about his other 2 talents? Well, I'm sad to say, they are completely useless. Really, I've tried to make them at least somewhat usable, but they just don't provide enough value to justify using them, along with actually giving you a penalty for picking them up. I really don't like this new direction Evil Mojo has chosen to go with the talents. I hate that talents now have penalties. Talents should not have penalties. You're not TF2, stop. Talents are supposed to be unique and fun, not make your skill slightly stronger, but increase their cooldown by 50%? What? Who thought of this? Who? That's just mean. I'm not even gonna dignify these talents by saying their names. And the last one simply stops your energy or ire from decreasing over time. It also gives you a straight up damage nerf. At least the one that doesn't let your ire decrease could be somewhat useful for users with bad aim, but it just hits you with that decreased damage penalty. It goes without saying that both of these talents need to be either fully reworked or have the penalty completely removed. There's just no reason for it. They won't become OP if you remove the penalty. They really won't. I just don't understand the logic behind these two talents.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
I hope they do take a look at them before pushing this to live. If not, Azan only has one talent. Loadout-wise, aside from the one I've already suggested, you could run a max DR one, or even a max DR one that protects your teammates when putting up a wall. Very ironic considering it's the thing that gets them killed, so you pretty much force them to die slowly while you just stand there and watch.
Oh, Azan, please. I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
Sorry,
Help me.
it's too bad.
Help me. Help me, man. Help me. I'm stuck. I'm gonna die.
Thank you, Hi-Rez. Very cool. The playstyle itself will not really change, and you can still act as a hyper-aggressive tank. However, with the damage reduction maxed, you can also be a really strong point tank. All that said, in what kinds of situations would you pick this champion? Well, if he doesn't get nerfed, in every single one. He can close distance with 2 abilities, not including his ultimate. He's an overall mobile tank, does decent damage both long and medium range, thanks to his sustainability. And close range? Well...
I can't even get back in spawn!
You don't want to fight an Azan at close range. Look, he's just good. In fact, he's just better than good. One of the strongest tanks in a while. I'd even go as far as to say that he's one of the strongest characters in a while. And if you play together with Emoji, Vora, any champion of that nature, you would actually be unstoppable. It's pretty scary. The only thing you really have to watch out for is the late game. As soon as everybody picks up Cauterize 3, just play safer and rely more on your damage reduction and wall. You can sort of think of him as a mix between Yagoroth and Rom, somewhere in the middle, while also being completely unique. The weapon looks flashy and pretty heavy. Sound is satisfying, and his voice actor reminds me of The Rock. That's a good thing. Lore-wise, it's actually a lot better. But wait, hold on. Existed for an incredibly long time? Non-mortal body, not as righteous as he may seem? Bro, he's literally Alucard. That's it, Hi-Rez. I'm getting tired of this lore yoink. Jokes aside, lore for this champion is actually much more interesting compared to most others, and was a pretty good read. I just wish there was more of it. In appearance, he's a higher creature. You know what? I'll give him a better race.
We will take Jerusalem!
There we go. In conclusion, he's a very strong and a very aggressive tank. Definitely needs some balancing, and I think he needs a buff. Yeah, I think he needs a little buff. I don't know, something like maybe 100% life rip? Nah, but all jokes aside, my first rating for this champion is 10 out of 10 Crusaders. That's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Had a blast playing Azan, and I can't wait to see what you all do with him. I'd just like to do some shoutouts for some of my patrons: Tobias Sander, Ash NT, Mew, Blazing for Kills, and the rest of these wonderful people on screen, along with the description below. I appreciate you all watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. And if you're new to the channel, maybe even consider subscribing. I'll be uploading a lot more frequently, so if you like my content, that's one way to see more. And if you're looking for a friendly gaming community, you could join our Discord server. That, along with all my socials, will be in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.